whether to formally deny communion to public figures who support a woman's right to have an abortion. One of those public figures who supports just that is President Joe Biden. I want to bring in Father Edward Beck. He's a CNN religious commentator. Father, great to see you as always. And this is a very interesting issue. President Biden is the first Catholic president elected since John F. Kennedy. And you wrote in the CNN op-ed this week that the president's reception of communion is a private matter, you say, quote, between him and his confessor. Explain why you feel this way and why this is a touchy subject for the Catholic Church.
Well, first of all, Jim, it's one's individual conscience. An informed moral conscience is the decision-making about receiving communion. So you don't know what's in the heart and mind of somebody, what process they have gone through, first of all. You know, I had Mass this morning, Jim, a few of them, actually. And unsolicited, I can't tell you how many people came up to me and were really upset about this. I mean, across the political spectrum. And basically what they were saying was, you had a former president who checked none of the life issue boxes for the Catholic Church, except that he said he would appoint Supreme Court justices that could overturn Roe v. Wade. And that's all that seemed to matter. You know, he had a photo op of the Bible, seemed to make fun of the Pope. And then you have Joe Biden, a practicing Catholic, who is pro-choice, although he says he's personally opposed to abortion. And people are talking about denying him communion, the reception of communion. And so people just see it as really based in hypocrisy. And I can't tell you, some people said, you know, this is the final straw for them. If the bishops go ahead with that, that's it for them.
Yeah, and Father, you point out that some bishops in this country believe that church leaders are, quote, weaponizing the Eucharist for political purposes. What bothers you when those two lines, faith and politics, come close to crossing? Should they cross?
Well, Jim, I think one of the questions is, are there then other litmus tests about communion? I mean, what about other life issues? What about capital punishment? What about immigration? What about the environment? So are we supposed to stand then in a communion line with a checklist? And are we supposed to decide who's qualified to receive? Or is it just going to be this one issue? I mean, the word itself, communion, means with unity. And what we saw this week is the divided Episcopal Conference, divided bishops that are causing more division in the church. And again, in fairness to them, Jim, there is no document then yet. So it's going to be now drafted, and we'll see in November what it actually says. Maybe there'll be nothing about the reception of communion of President Biden or anybody else. Maybe it will be kind of an exhortation on the Eucharist. We just don't know. But remember, it has to pass 2/3 at that meeting to get approved of the bishops. And then Pope Francis has to approve it as well. And this is a pope who has said, the Eucharist is not a prize for the perfect. It's medicine and nourishment for the weak. So I don't know if I'm going to see Pope Francis approving a document that might exclude people from receiving communion based on these cultural hot-button issues.
Especially the president. And I want to ask you about that. What are the chances we might see President Biden and Pope Francis meet face-to-face, have a visit potentially at the White House?
Well, I mean, it'd be great, I think, if we had the Pope come visit the United States again. You remember, Jim, what that was like the last time he came. I don't know if he's going to be coming back anytime soon. He has a lot of other countries that he says is on his list. But I think, you know, we heard all of this stuff about the meeting when Biden was in Europe recently that, well, the Pope shunned him and didn't meet with him. Well, that wasn't true. I mean, they were never supposed to meet. The Pope has had, from what we've seen, a very warm relationship with President Biden. So if he does come to the United States again, you can be sure that he will meet with President Biden, and they will have a conversation about this, but it will be in private, pastor to congregant, to faithful. I mean, this is what the faith teaches us about communion. It's supposed to bring people together. Jesus ate with sinners. That's the precursor of the Eucharist, those meal narratives. It's about inclusion. That's how conversion happens. So to base it on exclusion, I think, is barking up the wrong tree. And I don't think Pope Francis is a fan of it at all.
Very interesting. And I remember when Pope Francis visited the United States, came to the White House, met with Barack Obama. That was quite a visit. And it'll be fascinating to see. Pope Francis should come to the United States. We would love to see that happen. And Father Edward Beck, thanks so much for joining us. And happy Father's Day to you as well. Thank you for being with us.
Happy Father's Day to you too, Jim.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Father. And coming